Good morning, or afternoon, or middle of the night. Whatever time and wherever you are joining us from, welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos and this online worship service for October 25th, 2020. I'm Rebecca Howard, and I'm a worship associate for this congregation. Our minister, the Reverend John Cullinan, has today off, and I am delighted to welcome our guest minister, the Reverend Christine Robinson. Reverend Robinson was the senior minister at First Unitarian in Albuquerque for 28 years until she retired 3 years ago. She estimates that she has been a guest speaker here at least 30 times in those years and is happy to be with us in this new way, and we are so happy to have her here. Welcome, Reverend Christine. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the interdependence of all life. We come together to learn from each other, and we draw inspiration from many sources to work together to build communities of greater justice and compassion. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. I'd like to extend a special welcome to anyone who is joining us for the first time. Please sign our virtual guest book. And for anyone who would like to learn more about our church, you can contact the church office and/or email Reverend John, whose address is in the service notes below. If you're watching on Sunday morning, we invite you to join our Zoom coffee hour after the service at 11. Whether you are visiting us for the first time or have been a part of this congregation for years, may this time we set apart from our everyday concerns help us see what is most important to us in ourselves, in each other, and in the world around us. As we light this chalice, let me point out some astonishing things to which we often become blindly accustomed. Oil becomes flame, light, and heat. Sage becomes smoke and smell. Sunlight becomes life. Brown earth becomes green pine needles and yellow and purple flowers. Mouse becomes eagle. Food becomes dance and thought. Ideas become material form. Child becomes adult. Shy becomes bold. My internal thoughts become sounds. Those sounds received by you become your interior thoughts. Let the chalice flame then remind us that this is a world of becoming, that what we receive, we transform and give again. The transformation is the very stuff of life, and that each of us is an astonishing combination of astonishing transformations.
Holy and beautiful is the custom which brings us here in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened, and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of the ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. May all our hearts prepare them place.
I invite you now to repeat the words of our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. In the words of the well-known Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield, there are 10,000 joys and sorrows in every life, and at one time or another, we will be touched by all of them. Each week brings joy and sorrow to our lives. I invite you to take a moment to bring to mind those things that weigh heavy on your heart and lift them up in a moment of silence. And now, bring to mind those things that have inspired joy and gratitude and gladness in your life. Let us take a moment now as candles burn in our sanctuary to bring to our minds and hearts the sorrows and the joys that we carry with us, whether spoken aloud or held quietly and tenderly within.
It is great to be with you this morning. I've been with you many times in person. This is the first time virtually. So many new things for all of us in this COVID time. But I'm glad to be here. Our theme this morning is listening to yourself. And we're going to take our meditation time this morning to try out one exercise in listening to ourselves. You're welcome to do this meditation completely in your mind, but you can also do it as a journaling exercise if you have something to write with and a piece of paper handy, or if you know how to use your computer to type while you're still listening to Zoom. If none of those things work for you, just do it in your head, no problem. So we begin listening to ourselves by quieting the outside distractions and noticing if our body is comfortable, and if not, getting it comfortable. We follow our breath for a few breaths. In, out. In, out. So I invite you to spend 1 minute making a list. In your mind or on paper or on your screen, a list of the things that are worrying you right now. It's a list, not an essay, so just 1 or 2 words for each item. Be a good listener to yourself. Don't argue or judge, just make a list. Every guest is important and worth noticing. Give yourself a little encouraging sound or a nod if you get stuck. Just keep on writing. Ready? Go. So you can keep on writing if you need to, but if you're done, ask yourself if there are any of these worries that you can do something about. Check them off. You can come back to them later, maybe make a plan of action. But for the rest, I want you to imagine putting them to bed. Not your bed, a guest bed in your house, or a nest of blankets on the floor, like the tired children they are, so you can go about your day while they sleep safely. Just imagine, be playful here. Now, a second list of guests in your mind's house. This one, a list of your more welcome guests. Loves, joys, gratitudes, hopes. Once again, be a good, attentive, non-judgmental listener to yourself. Encourage yourself to gently keep on this task for 1 minute. Go ahead. Once again, you can keep writing if you need to. But you can also begin to install these welcome guests in your house in some way. Some on the mantle, some perched atop your photographs, some on bookshelves or countertops or stacked on your couch. Later, some of them might have something to say to you. Later, you can make a plan to deal with the worries that you can nudge into a new direction. Later, some of the worries asleep may awaken, and you will listen to their dreams like the loving parent that you are. All of these are songs of your heart. Listen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Wounds hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Well, our story happens, well, not so long ago and very close to here. There was a family, a mom and her 3 kids. Aisha was the oldest. She was 10, very serious, thought she knew everything. Jody was 4, a noisy, happy preschooler, and Josh was 8. And like lots of middle children, he was always trying to bridge the gaps in his family. They lived with their mother. Normally, they spent many weekends with their father, but he was a doctor and there was a pandemic on and they hadn't been able to see very much of him for a long time. But of course, they did see a lot of each other. Their little apartment seemed very small when they spent all their time together in it, and although they took a walk once a day and their mother organized races in the park to help them run off some energy, it still had been, well, a pretty hard time. One day, Aisha cornered the other 2 kids in her room and said, "You know, day after tomorrow is Mom's birthday." They all looked at each other. "We need to do something to celebrate," she said. "Birthday cake," said Jody. "We don't have any cake mixes," says Aisha. "I already looked. And anyway, we couldn't make it and surprise her." "Presents," said Jody, and the other 2 looked at their hands. "I think we should each write her a letter, telling her how much we love her and thanking her for helping with us with our schoolwork and stuff," said Aisha. Josh sighed. He hated writing. "Let's just ask her what she wants," he said. "That's what I'm going to do." So the next time their mom was off Zoom, Josh asked her, "What do you want for your birthday, Mom?" he asked. "Oh," she said, "well, I guess my birthday is coming up pretty soon. Maybe we should just forget it this year." "Well," said Josh, "if you did have your birthday, what would you like?" She said, "You know, really, Josh, all I really want right now is just some peace and quiet." She smiled at him. "It'll be all right," she said. "There's always next year. Let's save our birthday ideas for you kids." And she turned back to her work. Josh reported this conversation to the others. Jody looked disappointed. "Peace and quiet," she said. We'll make it in a bucket." Asia shushed her and showed Josh the beautiful letter she had already written. "You figure out a way to put peace and quiet in a box and wrap it up," she said. "I'll be with you." But actually, when he woke up the next day, he realized he'd had a dream about the candles at Christmas. The candles they held at the Christmas Eve service, how a hush fell on the whole church, and he had an idea. He told Asia about it, and to his surprise, she liked the idea. But then she said regretfully, "But we don't have the stuff we need, and we can't go out and buy anything." But Josh had another idea. The next time his mom was on a Zoom meeting with her earphones on, he carefully put on his mask and walked to the end of the hall and knocked on the door of his favorite neighbor, Mrs. May. He backed away from the door so he would be a good distance, and he told his neighbor about his mother's birthday and his idea. She smiled. "That is so creative," she said. "When will you do this? After the cake?" He looked at the floor. "Well," he said, "she said no party, and we don't have any cake mixes left." "Oh," said the neighbor. "Well, after dinner then?" "After dinner," he said. "I think I have what you need," she said. "Let me go look around." She left, and then she came back to the door with a box. A box that had a nice rattle to it. "Here you go," she said. "I think this is just what you need." "Thank you, Mrs. May," he said, and he slipped back to his apartment. Asia also had a look in the box. "I know just what else we need," she said, and she got busy with her scissors and added to the box. She also helped Jody color a picture, and they all talked together about their plan for the evening. After dinner, the children surprised their mother with their presents. "Oh, I said no birthday," she exclaimed, but she did look very happy. She admired Jody's card, and she read Aisha's letter. "This box is from me," said Josh, "but I had a lot of help." She opened it. She said, "Matches and 4 candles." "Oh, I see," she said, and quickly fitted a candle into a square of cardboard. "You said you wanted peace and quiet, Mom," said Josh. "So we all agreed that when you want some peace and quiet, we'll all light these candles and be quiet, just like church on Christmas Eve." "Oh, what a lovely idea, Josh," his mom said. "Let's do it now." So Aisha called Jody to come over and sit next to her, and she turned out all the lights. And they each took a candle and passed the light one to another. They sat in a lovely silence for a while. And just as Jody was getting restless, there was a soft knock on the door. Josh got up and put on his mask and opened the door. There was Mrs. May with a cake in her hands. "You can bring the plate back sometime soon, Josh," she said, "and wish your mom a happy birthday for me." They cut the cake and ate it. They sent back a piece for Mrs. May to enjoy with a thank you picture from Jody. "That was awfully nice of Mrs. May," his mom said. "But the best part of my birthday is my loving, capable, creative children, and thinking about some nice times of peace and quiet that we'll have this fall. Thank you so much." Our reading this morning is a poem called The Guest House by the 13th century Muslim poet Rumi. It reminds us to listen to ourselves. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. It may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from the beyond. The Guest House by Rumi.
Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers toll for old and happy, for our fears, and for the battles long ago. Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today? Some natural sorrow, loss or pain that once has been, may be again. I listen motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no
There is a song that our teenagers sing and our kids sing at camp and conferences and cons. It's a song that's being sung for generations, so maybe you know it. It's called Listen, Listen, Listen. And it goes like this. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart's song. So when the kids sing this, they are mostly thinking, being kids, of how much they need their fellow campers to listen to them, to cherish their budding selves, to notice who they are becoming. They are honoring their gathering as a place where that is likely to happen and valuing that. And it's critical, of course, for adolescents who are changing so fast as they birth their adult selves. And being listened to is actually critical to all of us, as is being good listeners to those around us. And I hope you know that wonderful feeling of being heard by a good listener, when someone hears not just our words, but our heart's song. That good listening makes us feel so cherished, and we often discover that we know more than we realized when we're being listened to as we hear ourselves, and we feel so warmly towards our listener, right? Do you remember those good feelings? Good, because here's our chance to feel all those good feelings again. Cherished, wise, valued, by turning our listening minds and ears inward and listening to ourselves. What a gift we can give ourselves. We give ourselves that same careful attention that we sometimes give others, because our hearts have a song that we could hear if we worked on it. And we are the very persons who most need to hear it and to never forget it and never forsake it. We do listen to ourselves when a good listener is listening to us, but mostly, of course, when we listen to ourselves, our ears are not involved and no sound waves excited. Listen is just the best verb we can come up with for the quiet attention we can pay to ourselves. In spite of the lack of sound waves, though, this inner listening has a lot in common with more ordinary listening. When we listen to ourselves, one part of ourself is listening to another part, or the whole of us is listening with an open heart to the parts that have different opinions or worries or feelings, say, about a decision that needs making or a confusing thing that's just happened. When we pay attention to those various parts of ourselves, we seek to give ourselves the same gift we give others when we listen to them: validation, love, self-understanding, and motivation to be the best we can be, an affirmation of the unique miracle of every heart's song. Just as in listening to someone else, that gift of listening is probably not going to happen unless we want it to happen and unless we make space to let it happen. So listening to yourself doesn't actually involve the ears usually, but it does involve the same things you need to listen well to someone else. It takes intention, for instance, a decision to make time, to sit down, and to listen rather than, say, debate or converse or ignore or steal the conversation to what we want to talk about. This is hard work, as I'm sure we all know, and to do it, we need to value the person or the inner voice that's speaking. I promise you, all of your inner voices are valuable, and your life will be better if you listen to them. And listening to ourselves takes attention, and attention is best given in relative quiet, when we're not doing something else, or at least not something that captures our attention. So I can listen to myself when I am walking, but probably not when I am listening to a podcast. I can listen to myself when I'm loading the dishwasher, if I focus, but not when I'm trying to figure out why there's too much water on the kitchen floor. And I can listen to myself when I'm knitting a simple pattern, but not when I'm trying to learn a new stitch. The third thing that listening to ourselves takes is compassion, which is the ability to feel with the part of ourself that has come forth to speak. While many of us have a fairly good balance of loving others and loving ourselves, most of us are not very good at loving all of ourselves. I am, for instance, very open to others who are, say, binge watching TV or binge eating ice cream to deal with all the stresses of the moment. But the parts of me that are playing computer games obsessively or ate all the Halloween candy before the 15th of October, not so much. More impatience than understanding, I'm afraid. But that impatience or critical mind won't help the scared or angry part of me that is binging to soothe herself. Impatience will just make her clam up and keep on with her dysfunctional behavior. What she needs is for me to listen to her part of my heart's song. This is the genius of Rumi's advice to practice hospitality to all of the guests who come to our mental house, even the sorrows, the shame, the malice. Be a good host and listen. See what you find out. You might find out that your angry guest is really at heart afraid, like all of us. Will feel better if they can just tell someone about it. Let them tell you. Or that the shamed child part of yourself who's digging herself into the corner of the couch just needs a little compassionate attention before she will tell you what she knows, and she knows something. That your depression wants you to stop listening to the news and get outside. That your body craves sleep and wants you to know that you really should turn off your screens in time to get a good night's rest. Perhaps you're thinking that this is just what we did in the meditation this morning, and you're right. We took some time to listen to ourselves. Because without that time and intention, we stay a stranger to our inner life, and even to some of our own feelings, words, and deeds. We don't hear our own heart's song. We miss opportunities to nudge ourselves into better places. Some months ago in this pandemic wilderness we've been wandering in, I heard the news that choral singing was a super spreader activity, and it would be many months, perhaps years, before it was safe to sing in choirs again. For some reason, that's when despair over all the changes COVID has brought knocked at my door. I Googled this unwelcome information, trying to find some way to dodge it. No luck with that. But I did find the first YouTube videos of virtual choirs, and I cried all the way through that still short playlist. As I sat with this unwelcome guest, a thought drifted through my mind. Christine, you're not in a choir. You haven't been in a choir for nearly 40 years. What is this really all about? Well, of course, it was about all the losses and changes and uncertainties and worries that we have all faced and will keep on facing. But by the end of listening to myself on this subject, my inner voice said, the church choir is surely going to give this virtual choir thing a try. This obviously means a lot to you. You should join the choir. So I did. Turned out that this unwelcome guest brought a housewarming gift. But I did have to listen to get it. So, how do you listen to your own song? Actually, there are many time-honored ways. One of the most effective ways to hear your inner wisdom is to speak it aloud to a good listener, a friend, a listening companion, a therapist or a counselor, or a group that's dedicated to good listening, like chalice circles and covenant groups. With a little encouragement and space and safety, our inner voices are actually pretty eager to speak. And what we learn when we experience that wonderful feeling of having a good listener is how to listen to ourselves. Journaling can be another way to listen to yourself. Not so much the journaling that chronicles the day's activities, but the kind that writes about our feelings and the meanings of our experiences, or the kind that notes down our nightly dreams and contemplates their wisdom. This, by the way, was the spiritual practice of choice of our transcendentalist ancestors, Emerson and Thoreau and Margaret Fuller and their mostly Unitarian followers who are our spiritual ancestors. If you've ever felt restive about learning meditation from the Buddhists or prayer from the Christians and wish that we UUs had a tradition of our very own, well, we do. Journaling, that practice. Although through its various techniques, practitioners can listen to their many inner voices and strong inner wisdom. You can Google that for more information. And while the most popular forms of meditation encourage us to ignore our thoughts and just let them drift by, there are forms of meditation that ask us instead to watch our thoughts and delve into them more deeply. That is, to listen to our inner voices. Although the empty your mind styles of meditation have a very good place and are very valuable, and they do seem to get all the press, this listen to yourself style is also very important. For one thing, as anyone who has tried the empty your mind kind of meditation knows, the mind likes to think and will do so at every opportunity. But you can also use the mind's power to focus on your inner world in a productive way, and that is also a form of meditation. And you can listen to yourself by hearing yourself talk to yourself. I know we all feel self-conscious about that, but I actually find it helpful. If you don't have an empty house, you can take a walk at dawn or dusk. If you wear a mask, no one will ever know what's going on underneath it. If you put an earbud in your ear, they'll think you're talking on your phone. On paper or aloud or in your mind, ask yourself about what you are feeling. Drill down on why you think what you think. Wonder just what was going on when you did or said something that you now regret. List your joys and worries, cherish them, deal with them, or put them to bed. Give yourself some space to listen to yourself with the same intention, attention, and compassion you would give to someone else. Celebrate the song of your heart. Honor the guests in your mental home. You are amazing, complex, deep, and wise. So, will you listen to yourself?
There are no special announcements this week, but if you haven't already done so, please contact the church office to sign up for our weekly email announcements. You can also check our website at uulosalamos.org and or our Facebook page for opportunities to connect during the week and for any upcoming events. Here in this religious community, we receive gifts that nurture body, mind, and spirit. Our offering is an opportunity to share some of what we have with the wider world. Even though we're unable to meet in person, we continue to take an online offering each week to support our community partners. Our offering recipient for the month of October is Lutheran Family Services, in support of their work on our behalf with refugees and asylum seekers as they build new lives in New Mexico. 100% of all offered this month will be given to Lutheran Family Services. Please use the link in the service notes below or download the Givelify app to your phone or mobile device and select the Unitarian Church as your gift recipient. May the music of our own Alice B. Kellogg lift you up, and may what you give bring you joy.
And now some good words by Wayne Arneson to end our service. A benediction. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Blessings for your week.
As we